Thank you all for being here. My name is Liz Chalberg, and I am really privileged to be the president of the Donnersville Historical Society. We are a fully volunteer organization dedicated to promoting and preserving Downers Grove history. And we're so glad that you're here today to join us to honor Marilyn Ludwig, who has been instrumental in helping bring Downers Grove history truly alive, bring back to life. We hope you have helped yourself to some refreshments and also signed up for the raffle. Marilyn has been very generous in donating some of her books for this raffle. And it's a great read. It's called The Ghost of a Tree Remember, and it takes place in Downers Grove in 1863. So please sign up for that. I'd like to take a moment just to recognize some folks who have joined us today. First, we're honored to have Downers Grove Mayor Barnett. And we have our most recent Montreux Dunham Award winner, Dave Humphreys, is here. Thank you. And we have quite a few of our board members from the Historical Society. Amy Gossett is here. Raise your hand. Where did you end up, Amy? She is wandering somewhere. Okay. Greg Elisha, Deb Howard, Lois, Sterba, they're all sitting together. Marty X, waiting in the back. Ian Ogden, who's helping us with our videography today. Thank you, Ian. And Bruce Swanson. And Marty. Oh, Marty X, I said it. Okay. And I would also like to introduce the recognition subcommittee, and these are the folks who have worked so hard to make sure that the people who are contributing in Downers Grove to the preservation and promotion and the celebration of Downers Grove history are recognized and appreciated. The committee members are Chair Bruce Swanson, Joyce Tumea, Andrea Kinsella, Deb Howard, Lois Sterba, and myself. And it's so wonderful to see so many students here today. My guess is that many of you, or perhaps most of you, have experienced Marilyn's skills as an educator and the theater director firsthand, so thank you for being here. The Historian of the Year Award was established in 2013 to show our appreciation for someone who has made an impact in our community in the ongoing effort to promote and preserve our history. This year we are honoring Marilyn Ludwig, who will be in good company. She is joining our past honorees, who are Helen Myers, Joyce Tumea, Carol Von Schneider, Lois Sterba, John Mokel, John Green, and Montreux Dunham. In an all-volunteer organization, we know that we really can't do it all by ourselves. And we actually hit the jackpot when we started our association with Marilyn Ludwig. She brought her amazing skills as a theater director, teacher, writer to our doorstep. And to quote Robert Frost, it has made all the difference. So to begin our tribute, please welcome Bob Barnett, Mayor of Downers Grove.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you to the Historical Society for the invitation, but thank you most to Marilyn for your efforts in our community. As I read about the work Marilyn has done in our community, I was struck by her creative use of the arts. I'm sure others will talk more about the living cemetery, but I want to touch on why I think those efforts are so special. Earlier this week, in an Arts to Page proclamation made at our village council meeting, I noted that the arts are the embodiment of all things beautiful, emotional, and entertaining in the world. Ever present and enduring, yet growing and evolving record and reflection of the human experience. The arts have often shed light, focus, and awareness on those issues which bind us together, such as history. Art has the power to facilitate social interactions to raise mutual understanding of those experiences that make us unique and bring us together. History helps us understand change. Change is the one constant, but change needn't be something that happens to us. It can be something we embrace, we mold, and we participate in. But to do so, one must recognize that change and repel fear of it. History does just that. History also helps bring a moral awareness. When one reflects on the past, it allows us a review of the current, helps us clarify plans for the future. This is no more true than the consideration of moral issues. People make mistakes. It's inherent in the human condition. But reviewing our history with a careful and thoughtful eye allows the opportunity to learn from those mistakes. History helps us identify our moral flaws as we dedicate ourselves to a better tomorrow. But recalling the past, while a worthy endeavor and a real value, which I think understanding and learning from is key, can be difficult to make engaging. We are an increasingly distracted people. Maryland's use of drama and the dramatic arts has, without a doubt, broadened the appeal of recalling our past. It has made the study of Downers Grove history more approachable and added significantly to our community's understanding of its history, and thus our ability to adapt, to change, and maintain our moral center. We often say things like, if these walls could talk. These walls in this historic building would certainly have a tale to tell. 154 years of observing the people of Downers Grove as it stands watch for quite glad. But unfortunately, these walls, can I turn that off? These walls and the graves and souls of our past can't speak. Maryland's efforts to bring history alive allow it to speak, if you will, in one of the truly special aspects of Downers Grove. It's no small part of why we're here today. This group is undoubtedly better at telling those stories than I, so I'll leave that to the pros. But on this day, in this time, and in this place, as we establish another piece of our collective history, it's an honor to be part of the celebration. And on behalf of the Village of Downers Grove, I want to say thank you. I want to say congratulations, Marron. But not only congratulations, but thank you. Thank you for doing your part to help our community. Thank you for helping our community understand its past. And thank you for helping our community find its moral center. Congratulations on being the 2021 historian here.
Next, I would like to introduce Lois Sterba.
Welcome, and I would like to welcome you to the historic Dr. James Henry Breaston Auditorium. We're sitting in right here. Today, we are here with the Downers Grove Historical Society to honor the Historian of the Year for 2021. This honor is something we are very happy to present each year. The definition of a historian is a student or writer of history who possesses researching, writing, and good communication skills, one who produces a scholarly historic work. The 2021 Historian of the Year, Marilyn Ludwig, does meet all these requirements. About 2012, the Historical Society began presenting the Living Cemetery, and we have a beautiful display back there, don't forget to look at that, in honor of the pioneers who are buried in the Main Street Cemetery. After visiting other cemetery programs, I thought it would be great to present our cemetery, the history of it, in a manner like that. So for about 2 years, we had local adults from maybe the Grove players and citizens help us with the program. But one day, I was in the teacher's lunchroom at Whittier School, and I asked someone, do you know any students who might like to help us with this program? Well, one teacher spoke up and said, well, why don't you contact Marilyn Ludwig at Herrick Middle School? She taught theater and she directs the Herrick Drama Club. So I sent an email and was pleased that she was very excited about her drama club participating in the program. Well, the next step was to meet with Marilyn and the students. Each student was assigned a person to portray and given information. They internalized the information and made the character their own. The result was that they were actually that person that they portrayed. Everyone coming into the cemetery felt like they were actually talking to the people the students were portraying. To further create the setting, as a director of plays, Marilyn dug into her supply of costumes and helped each student to be dressed in an appropriate way for their character. Our last living cemetery in 2019, she had about 16 of her drama students to help with our program. With additional local citizens, we had now about 22 participants portraying people buried in the cemetery. For many years, our living cemetery has been a yearly highlight presented each October, and Marilyn has been there each year to help us with this program. The success of the living cemetery program is greatly due to Marilyn and her efforts. We have had to postpone our living cemetery for the last couple of years, so we're not going to have one with in-person people, but there will be signs up in the cemetery on the weekend of the living cemetery. Well, in 2017, Marilyn, who was a prolific writer and an author of many books about places she had visited, many based on historic facts, told me she wanted to write a book about the Main Street Cemetery and children presenting a living cemetery program. If you haven't seen it, you'll see it back there. I was overjoyed that the cemetery would be the setting for her book. So we met again and we went over old historic records and facts about Downers Grove so she could weave this story. The results was the book, A Ghost of a Tree Remembered. What is so remarkable about the book is that it is geared to a middle school audience. Much of the history of Downers Grove is geared to adults, which is hard for the children to understand. So this book is something that the children would learn from. Based on the historic facts, Marilyn has given the youth a wonderful picture of the history of Downers Grove, and at the same time, making it an enjoyable read. As a teacher, I know it is sometimes hard to make history interesting to children. Marilyn has done that with this book. Adults will also enjoy the book, and I just want to read you a little bit from the blurb on the back of the book so you can experience a little of what she wrote. Liz and Nick should have been dressed in their costumes for the living cemetery, but it was late, so instead carried them in their bags. No problem, said the drama director, assured them. Take this key and change in the pavilion, just to be sure to give me that key back immediately after you return. Well, the old-fashioned key didn't look like it would fit any lock that they had seen before. In fact, it looked almost magical. But as soon as Liz touched the key to the lock, the cemetery had vanished, and she found herself on the old plank road. Liz and Nick were still in Downers Grove, but the year was 1863, at the height of the Civil War. Why were they there? What were they supposed to do, and how in the world did they return to their own time? Well, now don't you want to read the book? History is a story, but it doesn't have to be dull or boring. It can be fun and exciting. And from the excerpt that I just read, you can see how it would appeal to the young reader. Marilyn has incorporated Downers Grove history into an interesting story with characters that appeal to all. This book and her other books can all be found in the Downers Grove Library. Having read them all, I recommend them highly. All ages will enjoy them. Marilyn certainly is a scholar of history. Marilyn is certainly an exceptional writer. Marilyn certainly deserves this award. Congratulations, Marilyn, and thank you for all you have done to promote and preserve the history of Downers Grove, and especially presenting it to the children of Downers Grove through your book about the Main Street Cemetery. Thank you, Lois.
Our next presenter will be Joyce Tumea. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Joyce, hold on. Our next presenter will be Andrew Marron. He's a past student of Maryland's and drama student too, I believe.
Project, Andrew.
No pressure. I'm going to
woman that most of you probably know as Marilyn Ludwig, but to me, she is and probably always will be Mrs. Ludwig. People have known her as many different things throughout the years, but to me, she's been a teacher, a friend, a director, and perhaps most notably a mentor. And that's something that she's been to so many different people. She has been a mentor, someone with so much experience in so many different fields, from theater and drama to history, and someone who is so passionate and willing to teach it to so many other people. Ms. Ludwig is someone who has dedicated her life to helping others and teaching them new things and spreading all of this knowledge, and it's something really incredible and something that deserves recognizing. We met about 8 years ago, which is hard to believe, in a little place called Treehouse. In her backyard, there was a summer theater program run every year. I was going into 4th grade back then, but well, since then I've become a totally different person. I've learned so many things as a part of Treehouse alongside a ton of my peers who are mostly all seated back there. I've seen them all learn and grow alongside me, and well, Ms. Ludwig has fostered this incredible environment of learning and helping. She's helped so many people learn about drama as well as history. But, well, it's easy to talk about how she's helped out so many people that will end up becoming the future of our world, but that's not necessarily history in its typical sense. Typically, when people think about history, they think about looking back and not as much looking forward. But I would argue that looking forward is just as important as looking back as a historian. You need to understand the context of everything that's going to happen in the future, as well as what's happened in the past. And it takes someone truly intelligent to understand that, to grasp that the future will eventually become history someday. And it's this understanding that's really helped her become someone so incredibly instrumental among a ton of my peers, and it's helped them grow. But in addition to helping out the future through all of her efforts, she's also done plenty to help educate about the past through things like Living Cemetery, which obviously has been spoken about a lot, as well as through her novel Ghost of a Tree Remembered. But overall, I want to acknowledge her complete impact on the community. She's done so much to build together a group of people, not only of students, but also of those a bit older, and has helped so many people come together under a passion and a desire to learn more. And it's something that's truly incredible. There are now people who she taught and directed for that are now fully grown adults, and so her efforts have spanned multiple generations, and it's something that's truly inspiring, that someone can dedicate their life to history and help so many other people. I personally have had a massive improvement through my experiences with her. I came in as a young, anxious, awkward, and shy kid, and now I'm whatever I am today.
You're a fantastic speaker.
And that is all thanks to Ms. Ludwig. In conclusion, I'm honored to be able to speak here and present this award to extend to you, and, well, to acknowledge your spread of other people's knowledge as your own. You've done so much for so many people, and it's truly incredible. Anyone can talk or learn about history, but it takes a truly incredible historian to become a part of it.
Well, Marilyn, I should hope you're very proud of that student. That was amazing. Thank you very much. And now Joyce to you. Now, let's see. Let's see, you do. I do that one.
Too bad I didn't go before Andrew, because I'm hard to have to follow. Okay then. Marilyn Ludwig has been filling the Main Street Cemetery with bodies. Live, warm ones, as middle school theater students from here, there to portray some of the early village residents buried there, and as in audience members from the community, there to learn about these graveyard residents from both the junior high and adult volunteers, bringing them back to life. Marilyn is good at enlivening history, among other things. She can enliven a conversation, an event, simple ideas that get turned into full-fledged novels, and facts about departed settlers. As a member of Grove Players, she can bring to life the words of a playwright's manuscript through her directing skills, so that audience members really feel and experience what the playwright wanted them to. I've had the pleasure of interviewing Marilyn and then writing up feature articles for the local papers and the Grove Players website on at least one play she has directed, so I have seen her skill firsthand. I've attended the plays she has directed, not just out of loyalty and support for Marilyn and Grove Players, but because Marilyn has brought the play to life for me and made me want to experience it. At the Living Cemetery event, I've not been able to observe Maryland students in action as much as I would have liked, because I've been busy portraying Avis Blodgett or Lucy Downer, who, as I can tell by your reactions, I would think, you know she is not buried in the cemetery, but Tony and I have been explaining why Pierce and Lucy aren't buried in the cemetery. Anyway, despite having been busy myself, I have managed to see the energy and expressiveness in her student presenters, the appropriate costuming they wore, and the thoughtful, appreciative expressions on the faces of the people who stopped to hear their stories about our early residents. These students own their talent, but Marilyn has helped them hone it. Former resident Chris Ware sent a message expressing his appreciation for Marilyn. He states, "I have many fond memories of being in Marilyn Ludwig's plays. The environment she created at Herrick Middle School, as well as in her backyard at Treehouse Summer Theater, was welcoming, warm, and inclusive. She has an incredible way of bringing young people together and making them all feel like equal contributors in her plays, no matter how big or small their roles. I feel lucky to have been able to grow up in her theater programs. The fact that she's touched so many lives makes her an excellent recipient for this recognition." Chris's older sister Jackie, not to be outdone, also sent words of gratitude. This is Jackie speaking. "How did Treehouse Theater and Mrs. Ludwig change my world? Well, the argument could certainly be made that it was a pivotal turning point for one shy kid to start seeing her potential and think about coming out of her shell. While it is entirely possible that my time in Treehouse Theater may go down as historically the shortest tenure of any student in her entire summer theater history, one summer between my high school graduation and the start of my freshman year at ISU, it was no less impactful to me in triggering and opening up a world of unknowns that I had never imagined for myself before that summer." Jackie goes on, "Going into Treehouse that summer, I had just graduated from high school, but had not had the benefit of knowing Mrs. Ludwig through junior high, due to the many quirky boundary shifts in Downers Grove in the early 90s. So I only knew Mrs. Ludwig as my brother's theater teacher from Herrick Junior High. I feel like it was mostly a fluke that my mom suggested I do Treehouse High my final summer, as I had pretty much completely missed the proverbial boat, as it were. But my middleest brother, I like that, but my middleest brother Chris was doing it, so I did too. Coming into Treehouse High, I would consider myself pretty much the standard issue shy kid in high school. I had a close group of friends, but I didn't do much in the way of sports or theater in school, apart from chorus, or virtually anything that put me in any kind of a spotlight, and I most certainly wasn't what you would consider outgoing or overly confident in my abilities. Enter Treehouse High. I was able to be part of a theater production, and I wasn't just in the chorus or background. I had lines. At times, I was even in the front. But we were still an ensemble, so it didn't feel overwhelming. And I began to realize how much I enjoyed this activity, that I could do it, and maybe that I was even good at it. There had been other things that I had tried in the past, that no matter how hard I made the effort, the reality was I didn't have the right skills to excel. But this was the first time I'd been given an opportunity to be more than on the sidelines. and I was shocked at how natural and fun it was for me. Not to overgeneralize, but that was a bit of a light bulb moment for me. It was the first time that I was allowed to come out of my shell a little bit, and its effects have 100% trickled out to the rest of my life. No, Jackie says, I did not become a Broadway superstar, but for the first time I knew what it felt like to have some confidence in myself and to see myself in a different light. And it caused me to make more changes in my life going forward, to make theater a part of my life throughout college and and taking part for 10 plus years in community theater, building friendships and bonds that have lasted years, and meeting her future husband, her current husband, obviously. Over that time and throughout many years and a multitude of experiences since then, that little flame of confidence that was ignited that summer continued to burn and grow and evolve into a comfortability within myself that I feel forever grateful for. And she finishes, thank you, Mrs. Ludwig, for sharing your love, passion, and acceptance with me that summer during Treehouse High. It has touched countless children in so many incalculable and unimaginable positive ways. Thank you always. Signed, Jackie Seawick. Eric Bear, a shorter, not to be outdone by his older siblings, added his comments. It's hard to overstate the impact that Marilyn Ludwig's theater-related work with kids has had on my life. Playing Skunk in Red versus the Wolf is still one of my earliest and fondest memories. Getting the opportunity to act and be on stage at such a young age helped me figure out who I am. And I don't think I would be as confident as I am today had I not spent most of my summers pretending to be a frog in front of large groups of strangers. I probably would have found my way to the art sooner or later, but I am so thankful to Mrs. Ludwig for breaking the rules and letting the kid brother of one of her students join her drama group earlier than normal. Because of her, I got to find my passion sooner than most. And these are my comments again to close. If you read Marilyn's young adult novel, Another Flight, based on the Living Cemetery event, The Ghost of a Tree Remembered, described briefly in the program and also by someone else earlier, your own hidden passion for theater might be reawakened, along with a renewed interest in Downers Grove history, especially during the Civil War era. You will also want to be one of the lucky winners of one of 10 autographed books. They are being given away in a free drawing later, thanks to Marilyn's generosity and her gift for enlivening whatever she touches. Thank you.
And Mike Pemberton is here, representing Grove Players.
I called Marilyn on Thursday just to ask her if there was anything she wanted me to address in this, and she said, oh, just keep it short. My first introduction to Marilyn was in that lighting booth right up there. Well, actually, I was in the lighting booth. She was on stage. She was performing in our production of Harvey in, I think, 2004 or 5, I don't remember which. As time went on, and as she and I both became more active in Grove Players, we became colleagues and friends, working on stage, off stage, and in the boardroom, helping to make our productions exciting for everyone involved, from audience members to actors, even to the ushers. I came to know about Treehouse Productions, the acting workshops she ran for teenagers in her backyard. There were several alumni of Treehouse who graduated to their school stages, high school stages, and also a few who came to Grove Players at Marilyn's suggestion and with her encouragement. More than once, when we were looking for younger actors, or backstage staff, or designers even, we called upon Marilyn to provide us suggestions for these roles. Her contacts at Herrick Middle School and Downers Grove North and South High Schools have provided us with actors, lighting designers, sound designers, set designers, and stage managers, even after some of them have left and gone to college. I have a question for all of you. Have you seen her basement? In that basement, there is a props and costume and furniture storage area that we have rated more than once for main stage shows for Grove players. Marilyn has served many, many roles for Grove players. Roles from serving cookies at intermission, which she hates doing, to directing and producing shows, to serving multiple years on our board of directors, some of those years as president. I remember serving as chair of the play selection committee only a year after I joined the group, having been appointed chair because our president was in an auto accident, and she was also on the committee, providing guidance and suggestions. And she's done it several times more, serving as chair many times. The productions she's worked on in some capacity are far too many to list. Schoolhouse Rock Live, The Children's Hour, More Fun Than Bowling, The Dining Room. Marilyn's most recent commitment to Grove Players was as director of our production of Too Much, Too Much, Too Many, for which I was honored to serve as both an actor and the producer. Marilyn is a thoughtful and patient director, because she needs to be. And she approached this role as a director of a show about love and loss of the character's mental faculties as a result of Alzheimer's with grace and dignity. I provide you with this history lesson of some of Marilyn's levels of involvement in Grove Players as an acknowledgement of her commitment to Downers Grove and its history, for which you have honored her with this award today. These are the skills and gifts she brings to any and all theater involvement on her part, whether it is with adults through Grove Players, or young people in school, in her backyard, or in the Main Street Cemetery via the Downers Grove Historical Society's Living Cemetery event. Marilyn truly deserves this award. And she's a fan of the Oxford comma, as am I.
Now I would like to have the committee chair, subcommittee chair, Bruce Swanson, come up to do the honors.
First of all, I would like to share this plaque with you. That is at, can I take it off? Oh, good. I'll use my teaching voice. I taught here for 10 years at Lincoln School, so I feel very much at home here. Anyway, as you, Liz mentioned, the past winners, and with the many historians that we haven't even recognized yet. And that's your job. Your job is to let us know somebody that you think in Downers Grove is a good historian and deserves this honor. We will meet next year as the committee and go over the recommendations and choose somebody to be Historian of the Year. It's not a contest. It's not first, second, or third place. It's a person who is a historian that we decide to honor next year. And so help us by giving us your input. Now today, we have a very special book. And come on up, Deb. Debbie Howard made a very special book for Marilyn. It is a classic, and you, of all the stuff we have to offer today, this is number one. And it is a wonderful book.
I didn't read the ducks.
And, right.
Debbie Howard.
Yes.
She was great to be after all these years. Good to see you. Good to see you. This is one of my son's favorite teachers.
Oh, hey. School,
Yeah.
and there was no teacher was Mrs. Howard and the Ducks. Okay, now we have Marilyn. Come on up, Marilyn. We would like to honor you. And make sure, you guys, that you see the book before you leave, because it is really...
I'm not sure what's happening. They want you to go up there.
Come on up, Marilyn.
I don't hear well.
Well, hey, this is a cookie that, in your honor...
A cookie.
A cookie, yes. Marilyn Ludwig, 2021 Historian of the Year. Yes, don't just put it there somewhere where it won't break.
All right, thank you.
Congratulations. Now, we got something else here. Don't run away yet. One thing that we give to all of our historians is a special clock that we hope you'll put somewhere very special
I will indeed.
to remind you that you are the historian of the year.
That's gorgeous.
And again, everybody here, thanks so much for all you've done for so many people.
And I think most of you know that Janet, Bruce's daughter, was one of my students way back in Highland School, a long time ago.
Yes.
My daughter, you remember Janet Swanson? Sure.
Yes, Swanson.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Marilyn, would you like to say a few words about your experiences?
Be sure to project. My daughter is that. Okay, she's taking it. I know. I think the biggest thrill for me right now is want to thank you, everybody. Thank you, Historical Society. So good to see Lois again. There she is. Because Lois and I were a team at Giving Living Cemetery, making it so much a part of what Herrick does or did. Everybody, this is Julie Rodriguez. You have got to meet Julie later, kids, because she was in the very first center stage production. She had the female lead in Blazing Guns of Roaring Gulch with a perfumed badge.
I was pigeon number 2 when I was like.
I'd like you to meet all of my students. That's the best part. Thank you so much, Andrew. We'll talk later.
Thank you very much, everybody, for being here today. Living Cemetery has been mentioned a number of times today, and again, we did have to postpone the normal one because of COVID this year, but we are still going to have Living Cemetery on next Saturday, the 23rd. It's the same day as all the kids are downtown painting windows, and so if you're downtown looking at windows, just stop by the cemetery. It's sort of a virtual Living Cemetery because we have signs at many of the grave sites with QR codes. Bring your phone, and when you scan the QR code, you can listen to an audio track about the person. It's kind of cool. And there'll be some folks there at some times of the day. If we're not there, then just go right ahead and just wander around the cemetery. It's appropriate this time of year. And so please grab another cookie on your way out the door.
But don't be on your way out the door.
Oh, and don't. Oh, we have this raffle.
Socialize, look at all the displays, and be sure to fill out the slips and win one of the 3 books.
Yes, okay, yes, we have this whole, and History on Tap. Would you, Amy Gesson, Board Director, would like to say a few words about our next event coming up, big event coming up. Amy?
So we will be having our 2nd annual History on Tap Trivia Pub Crawl on Thursday, November 11th. There's flyers up here. It's a lot of fun. You get to go to 7 different establishments in downtown Downers Grove and learn a little bit of history at each one, and of course have a drink or 2. We will be selling tickets at this website that you can find on the flyer. Hope to see you guys all there.
Thank you, Amy. And so yes, hang around a little bit because you must be present to win the book. So hang around, talk with your friends, and we'll have the drawing in what, about 5 minutes? 5, 10 minutes, great. Thank you so much, everybody.